It is 12 minutes after 7 o'clock, and of course, the Port Authority takeover continues on Sunrise. Now, to tell me, when you hear aye, aye, Captain, what do you think of what comes to mind? Of course, this morning we're on board with a dispatcher at the Port Authority of Jamaica. His name is Johnathan Smith, and we're going to do a little bit of a day in the life to better understand the role of the dispatcher at the Port Authority of Jamaica. Morning, Jonathan. How are you doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Great. So, first, before we even talk about how did you get into this role? You go to school for this?
Well, I studied at the CMU. I studied navigation, and then I went to sea, and then I applied at the Port Authority, and got the position. Yeah.
So when you hear the role of dispatcher, what do dispatchers do?
All right, so we communicate with shipping agents, and the pilots to ensure safe navigation of ships within the Jamaican ports.
So we were talking about pilotage and that role earlier, but you play a critical role with the pilots, because if the pilots are not talking to the right people, then you could have chaos.
A lot of chaos. So what happens is that the agents liaison directly with the ships, and they give us the information, the type of ships, the date, time, all of that, and then we pass that on to the pilot.
Oh, so help me understand, like, the importance of the information, because somebody might tell me something about a ship, and it means nothing to me.
They
tell you something about the ship, and you know exactly what it needs to do, where it needs to go. Just a little bit of, open us, move the curtain and help us understand what's going on behind the scenes.
All right, so for example, a cruise ship coming into Ocherius, an agent will call us, give us the time. So for example, tomorrow, 7 o'clock, so they give us the time, the berth that it's going to. We now pass on that information to the pilot. So the pilot has to be in that port before 7 o'clock to be on board to carry her in safely. So my job now is to ensure that he's fully informed of traffic in that port. So for example, 2 ships coming into Ocherius.
So you need to be able to know who is coming in.
And update the pilots accordingly.
And Jonathan, for those persons who, might be interested in pursuing this, you mentioned where you trained and things like that, but what type of subjects then, if a student is watching this and is interested, would they be geared towards, or is it more so on the job or CMU training?
All right, it would be CMU training. It would be CMU. On-the-job training, of course. Subjects, I wouldn't be able to give you the specifics, but I'm sure it's online, because everything is online nowadays.
I mean,
everything is online nowadays.
We tend to think a lot about, about geography. Some physics is in there, because you need to know about, weight and size and so forth and that kind of a thing. But so when you get to work in the morning, tell us a little bit, like, what's the first thing you do when you get? I mean, is it that you have? I was going to ask when you get to your desk, but that maybe me thinking about my world. Tell me when you get to work.
I do have a desk.
First of all, where is work?
102 Water Lane. Port Authority. So when I get to work, I have to pretty much sit down and assess what's going on. That entails me knowing where all the pilots are, the ships that are coming into ports, what is happening around Jamaican ports, pretty much. So I have to assess all of that information and then process orders that are already in the system. So you come, you're appraised of what's happening during the day, what's supposed to come. We're handover, so we have a handover procedure. Because remember, it's a 24-hour procedure. It's 24 hours. So when I get in, the person who is there hands over to me, and then now I sit down. And even though someone tells you what is happening, you still have to kind of sit down and go through it for yourself. Because remember, you can't make any mistakes.
Indeed. And so in appraising yourself of the situation, you say you communicate with the pilots. So the pilots could be way out.
They could be in Montego Bay. So I would. So say I see a ship for 10 o'clock this morning, and I know the pilot would be gearing up to go now. So what I would do is call the agent, ensure that the vessel is going to be ready on time for sailing or for the arrival, and then I now call the pilot and update him. So a big part of the job is communication.
I'm going to ask you a question that you might not want to answer. You ready? What's the best thing about your job and what's the worst thing about, or what's your favorite and what's your least favorite thing about your job? Keep it real, Johnathan. Keep it real. Keep it real. There are people who are interested in the profession or they don't know anything about it. Yeah.
I love the coordination of it, the communication, you know, executing it when things go smoothly.
Yeah.
Worst part is when it doesn't. When ships delay, you know, due to whatever reason, you know, ships delay and then it just kind of throws off everything. Because you might have one ship that throws off 5 ships. Because that one big ship delays, it throws off 5 ships. So now I have to call 5 different pilots and explain to them that the berth is unavailable. So that now is...
Tell me something. When you're talking to the pilots, you talk to them like we, or you have like... you're like...
No, man. No,
come in, 10-4. Over and out.
When you're on the radio, it's a bit more professional, but on the phone, it's just like this.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
it's just
I'm wondering if you like have codes and things.
No codes. I mean, on the radio, it's professional and we use radio language, but...
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, give me
on
like
the radio.
Radio language.
You'd have to see it in the motion. You have to see it in motion.
Jonathan. Take up is it a phone or is it
the radio? Yeah. So we have radios in the office.
Right. So make a call. Make a call. Okay. The berth is unavailable. At 10. Call the pilot.
Okay. All right. So pilots have call signs.
Okay.
See that?
See? So they have call signs. So for example, now I would call Poseidon. He's a pilot. So I would say, Pedon, Kingston pilots. Unfortunately, the berth is unavailable for the docking of your vessels. So I'll reach out to you and update you as soon as I have a time that your berth will be available. So pretty much.
Pedon.
Kingston pilots.
Kingston pilots.
So that's my station.
What you the name? We'll talk about it. D-Don.
D-Don, Kingston pilot. Okay? The berth better be ready by like That was Johnathan Smith, dispatcher at the Port Authority of Jamaica. It's now time to take a short break. More Sunrise when we return.